Good evening, and thank you again for clicking on my channel. So I just finished watching The Odyssey. Finally got around to watching that. Um, so after the Trojan War, Odysseus faces a dangerous voyage back to Ithaca, meeting creatures like the Cyclops, Sirens, and Calypso along the way. Um, and if you're not aware, but this is a film directed by Christopher Nolan and written by him and Homer. So it stars Matt Damon as he portrays Odysseus, Tom Holland, um, Anne Hathaway, Travis Scott. It's kind of a weird person to put in a movie, I guess, but hey. Robert Pattinson, Corey Hawkins, um, let's see, Elliot Page. I'm gonna get on Elliot in a few. Um, John Leguizamo, Mia Goth, Ryan Hurst. Let's see. Zendaya, John Barenthal. There's a lot of people in this movie. Lupito Nyong'o. Uh-huh. Um, yes. So let me talk about Elliot Page for a moment before I dive into this movie. I didn't even know Elliot Page was in this movie. I don't know if that's supposed to be like some kept secret or something, but look, I don't think I've watched anything after um, her transition into being a boy. Um, can't say I'm a fan. I'm just gonna be honest. Um, and I don't know if it's just this role in particular, but I don't think it added anything. Just gonna be honest with you. Um, but I will say this as far as like standout performances, Anne Hathaway knocked it out of the park of her portrayal as Penelope. Um, I thought John Leguizamo did very well. Um, I forgot the name already. Where is he at? To pass him up? Emmaus. Um, he's basically like the seer. Other people, they were fine. Like, Matt Damon, he was fine. Robert Pattinson, fine. Tom Holland, fine. But, yeah, to me, those were like the two standout performances. Um, but yeah, so like this is basically the story after the Trojan War, and he's trying to get, as well as obviously the crew on the ship, right? Trying to get back to their families, and they go through basically hell trying to get back. But they, spoiler alert, they don't make it back except for him. Um, but Nolan, Christopher Nolan. Um, I think pretty much as always. I don't think I've seen a bad film from him. But he knocks it out of the park once again. It's a visually stunning film. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good movie. I mean, it's long as hell, really long. It's almost 3 hours long. It's like what is it, 2:45, I think. So yeah, pretty much 3 hours long for this movie. Um, there's some people in here where they really announced them like they're really in this movie, but they're barely in it. Like Zendaya, for an example, barely in it. She barely had any lines in there, which maybe would have been great for her if she's just getting off of Euphoria and doing this movie. Um, who else was barely in the movie? Um, Charlize Theron, she played Calypso. Zendaya, I mean, I forgot to say who she played. She played Athena. John Bernthal was kind of barely in the movie. He played Menelaus. Um, as well as Lupita Nyong'o. She was barely in it. As far as these other people, I'm not even going to try to go over who they played because that would be a huge long list, But but yeah, I pretty much enjoyed the movie. It's just again long. Um, let's see. Let's go over some reviews. This first one is a 6 out of 10. I think the other ones are going to be pretty high. See my review of the 70mm IMAX experience at the end. Christopher Nolan is my favorite director of all time. He has 4 of my top 6 movies, 8 of my top 20. It's absurd how much joy he's given me. I consider him to be the full extent of the word, a genius. Unfortunately, his more recent movies have failed to resonate with me nearly as much. I felt at arm's length from The Odyssey. I was not emotionally invested in the characters or the story. And when that's the case, you really start to feel the runtime. Interstellar is also 3 hours, but there is not a single second when I feel impatient or distracted. It's because I feel the stakes and my wanting them to succeed reaches levels I can't even describe. He is a master at filming spectacle. Several scenes are impressive from a filmmaking perspective, but I go back to the importance of caring about the characters and their mission. I care more during water planet scene and Interstellar than any scene in The Odyssey. I'm not just marveling at what I'm seeing, I'm enthralled because I need them to survive. And that's just an appetizer in heights and reaches after that. At this point, I'm begging Nolan to go back to musical composer Hans Zimmer. He's the GOAT, and it's not close. He created 5 of the greatest scores of all time for Nolan's movies. With The Odyssey, the score isn't even a positive. It's not bad, but it doesn't stand out or elevate the movie. I don't think The Odyssey is a good movie, but ask me right now if I'd go out of my way to watch it a second time, my answer is probably not. By comparison, I watched Memento, The Prestige, The Dark Knight Trilogy, Inception, and Interstellar a combined 55 plus times. I'm not sure how to fix this, but maybe it needs to go back to working with better writers like his brother, Jonathan Nolan. Um, one viewing opening Thursday, IMAX 70mm, 7/16/2026. A theater near me just upgraded their IMAX to be capable of 70mm. It was already the biggest IMAX in Illinois, but only extended to 1.9D. I could not contain my love for the images on display, the level of crispy details, the brightness, and the gargantuan size. It was breathtaking. I will watch any 70mm IMAX movie, even if not super excited about the movie itself. I really hope that they re-release Interstellar, Dark Knight, and I would watch them if they put it in 70mm. That was very lengthy. Sometimes I hate reviews when it's that long. It's just like get to the point, right? This one is a 9 out of 10. 3 hours, 0 bathroom breaks, 0 regrets. Let me set the scene. 3 hours. Greek mythology. A cast so stacked it almost feels like a flex. And Christopher Nolan at the helm. A man who at this point does not make movies. He makes events. So yeah, exceptions were sky high. And somehow the Odyssey still managed to exceed them. Here's what people need to understand going in. This is not Troy. This is not a swords and sandals action romp. Nolan takes Homer's ancient epic and does something far more gutsy. He goes inward into the psychology of broken man trying to find his way home, into a son desperately trying to find and understand a father he barely knows. Two journeys slowly converging into one of the most emotionally satisfying third acts I've seen in years. Matt Damon's is extraordinary, quiet, commanding, and carrying the weight of every bad decision. Lord, I can't even read. Odysseus ever made right. There on his face, Tom Holland delivers the best work in his career outside of Spider-Man's suit. And the woman, Hathaway, Zendaya, their own, Nyong'o, they are the soul of this film. Are they though? The Cyclops sequence, jaw dropping. The sirens, haunting. Ludwig score deserves another Oscar. See it in IMAX if you can, not because you should, because you will love it. Okay, so he's at the top. He says 9 out of 10, but at the bottom, 10 out of 10. The movie of the year, maybe the decade. Okay, well. This one is another 9 out of 10. Christopher Nolan has done it again. The Odyssey is a true cinematic masterpiece and another reminder of why he's one of the greatest filmmakers working today. This isn't a film for everyone if you're expecting constant action or a fast-paced blockbuster. You might find it slow, but that's because it's not trying to be a typical Hollywood epic. It's a piece of art meant to be experienced. The visuals are breathtaking. The performances are phenomenal, and the atmosphere completely pulls you into Odysseus' journey. Every character feels important, and the word Nolan builds is as mesmerizing from start to finish. What impressed me the most is how Nolan took the simple story of the legendary warrior of Troy, Odysseus, and turned it into something that feels grand, emotional, and unforgettable. So that's what I'm talking about. A simple review like that, kind of getting to the point, but yet still saying how much they love the movie. Okay, now we're getting into a long one. 9 out of 10. One of the most rewarding cinematic experiences of the year. While Nolan's lack of context surrounding the background of the Trojan War, its key figures and the climax of the Trojan War itself bothered me a little, especially after watching Troy, which explains and shows what happened before and almost feels like an unconnected prequel. I'm not saying you'll be confused or won't enjoy the film. if you haven't seen Troy, at the end of the day, Odyssey is still mainly about Odysseus' journey of going home and the people waiting for him. But in my opinion, having a better understanding overall, context makes the experience even more rewarding. And Travis Scott's appearance in something I could never quite take seriously. Even so, Nolan's take on the Odyssey is still one of the most breathtaking films of the year. What makes the film so special to me is how rewarding the journey feels by the time it reaches its conclusion. It honestly feels like you're a part of the adventure yourself, and that's one of the greatest achievements a film can accomplish. Watching nearly 3 hours of an epic fantasy filled with incredible performances, stunning visuals, a great score, and a fascinating story is exactly what you'd expect from a Christopher Nolan film. The way Nolan's use of IMAX cameras feels completely earned, making every landscape and every massive set piece feel truly enormous. It perfectly captures the scale of the world and constantly reminds you of just how vast this journey really is. It's an experience, and you don't just watch, but one of you truly feel to take in. Nolan doesn't just bring the legendary Greek epic to life, he transforms it into something that feels larger than words can describe. Every detail is crafted with care, resulting in an adaptation that remains respectful to its source while confidently standing on its own. Overall, Nolan shows absolutely no signs of a decline in quality. He's still a master of his craft, and The Odyssey is simply a near epic masterpiece. That was a lot. Oh, wow. This is so far the lowest score that I've seen. It's also long. 5 out of 10. Nolan's Odyssey is technically imposing, but dramatically hollow. He strips Homer's morally elusive trickster of much of his cunning, pride, and contradiction, reducing Odysseus to a burdened modern soldier, moving through a simplified narrative of guilt and trauma. The gods' hospitality, fidelity, temptation, marriage, and homecoming no longer constitutive a living moral universe becomes stations along a ordeal that neither transforms Odysseus nor reveals him as an exhaustingly complex okay. Helen never embodies the dangers, political and mythical power attributed to her. Circe is reduced from an ambiguous force of seduction. Transformation and knowledge is a contemporary moral spokesman. And Ithaca feels like an unlimited, dark, and emotionally cold that Odysseus' longing to return remains an abstraction rather than something emotionally felt. Nolan's thunderous sound, restless editing, and monumental scale continually insists upon importance. Yet the dialogue rarely fails human, and the set pieces accumulate without meaningful transformation. Consequently, when Odysseus fails, reveals himself, the moment merely identifies the hero rather than com- com- complete. I'm sorry. Ooh, Lord Jesus, help me out. Complimenting him, leaving the film without either a true character arc or an earned homecoming. A static Odysseus could have worked at the journey progressively exposed his contradictions, tested his identity, and deepened his relations, late late Nolan increasingly writes characters as carriers of themes, information, and narrative momentum rather than as people who company is allowed to occupy time. That is why the rapid cutting matters. It prevents scenes from remaining still long enough for characters to surprise us, embarrass themselves, misunderstand one another, desire irrationally, or reveal anything that does not advance the um, machinery. Those apparently inefficient moments are often when cinematic people acquire blood. It's therefore not Nolan departures from Homer that trouble me, but the poverty of what replaces them. 5 out of 10. In my opinion, this is objectively Christopher Nolan's weakest film to date, and I notice another pattern since 2014. Scales begins outrunning dramatic precision. All right, again, another long one, and why can't you just get to the fucking point? You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I enjoyed the movie. Again, it was long. 3 hours. I'd give it probably give it an 8 out of 10. It wasn't like anything groundbreaking where people are like, oh my god, this is one of the best films ever. But it is a good film. It is visually stunning. Most of the acting is superb. Again, I told you. To me, the standouts are Anne Hathaway. Matt Damon did fine. He's not any. It wasn't like an outstanding performance. He did fine. It was great. It was fine. You know, nothing where I'm like, oh my god, he really did that. You know. Tom Holland, fine. But again, Anne Hathaway and John Leguizamo. Those two, which I don't know. I feel like John Leguizamo may not get the shine that he deserves. But I thought he did really well. And yeah, Anne Hathaway, hope she wins again, or at least gets nominated. But yeah, anyway, that is my review. That is my rating. I'm sure most of you have already watched it, but let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the like button. Alright, thanks. See you again.